After confessing to my childhood sweetheart, she told me to humiliate the top student and campus beauty. If you can coax that scavenger into finishing the water you've drunk from, I'll agree to be with you. When I opened my eyes, I saw the top student and campus beauty sitting on the floor, surrounded by a crowd laughing at her. Had I really returned to 15 years ago? Excited, I ran over to the top student in front of all our classmates and set the bottle of mineral water before her. She stared at the half-empty bottle and blushed bright red with embarrassment. Looking at her expression, I sighed silently. The future business tycoon was now just a helpless girl at everyone else's mercy. So I pushed the bottle of mineral water a little closer. Top student, a mind like yours is wasted scavenging bottles for living expenses. How about becoming my private tutor? She was short of money right now, wasn't she? No problem. I'm so poor now. All I have left is money. Only then did I come back to my senses and see my childhood sweetheart by Ningbing watching me with a raised eyebrow and a mocking, teasing look. The rich heirs around us joined in, egging me on. Go on, Fang Yuan. You've pursued Ningbing for so long, and this is the first time she's finally agreed. I've been sick of that good-at-two-shoes Shang Xinci for ages. So what if she gets good grades? Why does she act so superior all the time? Exactly. No matter how well she studies, she'll still end up working for us someday. Listening to their non-stop taunts, I felt a knot of pent-up anger tighten in my chest. The Bai family lived in the same villa estate as mine. Bai Ningbing had been my childhood sweetheart. As for the rich heirs and children of officials around us, I'd known them since childhood. Their families were powerful and influential, so they considered themselves superior to everyone else. Bullying other students was practically routine for them. I never joined them in bullying anyone, but I never stopped them either. Offending people could affect my family's business. I'd always believed that minding my own business was enough. In my previous life, after I confessed to Bai Ningbing, she made me coax Shang Xinci into drinking from the bottle I'd already drunk from. Before she'd date me, I knew it wasn't right, but I was young and blinded by love. I did it anyway, just to be with Bai Ningbing. To ease my guilt, I even gave Shang Xinci 10,000 yuan. She took the money and drank the water. After that, whenever she saw me, she'd keep her head down and steer clear of me. My heart belonged entirely to Bai Ningbing, so I paid Shang Xinci no attention. But after I graduated from college, everything changed. My father's company went bankrupt, and he jumped from a high-rise building. When I rushed home after getting the call that day, the police tape was already up around the building. I never even got to see him one last time. From that day on, my mother never slept well again. 3 months later, she began suffering from chronic abdominal pain. A hospital examination revealed that she had cancer. The doctor said it could be treated, but it would cost a lot of money. I sold everything in the house that could be sold. The house, the car, and the watch my father left behind. I even pawned my mother's wedding jewelry, but the medical bills were a bottomless pit that I could never fill. Around that time, Bai Ningbing began coming home late. I was busy dealing with the debts my father had left behind, until Bai Ningbing slapped divorce papers down in front of me. It turned out she cheated on me and was carrying another man's bastard child. After forcing me to divorce her, she threw me out of the house. I had little education and no real skills. I had to earn money to support myself and pay for my mother's treatment. So I went through job after job, even working as a cleaner at a private club. Yuan, don't say your ex-wife has no regard for our past. My brother wants to hear you bark like a dog. If you do it and make him happy, I'll give you 2,000 yuan. My former fair-weather friends also came to the club to make sport of me. Among them was my former buddy, Wang Dating. Young Master Fang, come here, kneel down and polish my shoes. I'll give you 200 yuan. I drank too much and feel like throwing up. Fang Yuan, kneel down and catch it with your hands. I'll give you 250. I used to wonder how poor people managed to survive. But after I started working at the club, even when people deliberately humiliated me like this, I had to hold back my tears and force a smile. Thank you for the generous tips, young masters and young ladies. Dignity. What did dignity mean compared with money? Later, when they egged me on to passionately kiss a 60-year-old rich woman, Shang Xinci appeared and took me away. She was exquisitely dressed, radiating wealth and elegance. When she stood before me, I didn't even dare raise my head. I could only tremble nervously as I stared at her diamond-studded high heels. I also stared at the polished floor, which reflected my frightened, humiliated figure. I was terrified she'd hold a grudge and take revenge. But Shang Xinci simply paid my mother's medical bills and told me not to cry. But how could I hold back my tears? That very day, when she paid the medical bills for me, my mother, afraid of becoming a burden, jumped from a building too. Why did it have to happen then? Why did she have to leave me at that exact moment? I'd already lost my father. Now I'd lost my mother too. Shang Xinci kept me by her side and said she would be my family from then on. When I suggested rebuilding my father's company, she gave me money and worked alongside me without hesitation. Whenever I faced difficulties, she was always there beside me. She was outstanding in every way and treated me so well that it was impossible not to fall for her. But the moment I showed the slightest sign of affection, Xinci spoke pointedly. I'm never getting married in this life. I can't describe what I felt then. Embarrassment, heartbreak, perhaps even shame. As she was now, I truly wasn't worthy of her. Xinci worked herself to the bone. Her company had only just gone public when she collapsed from exhaustion. The hospital tests showed advanced liver cancer. She said she hated the smell of disinfectant and refused to stay in the hospital, living alone in her riverside villa instead. I wanted to stay with her, but she refused. She said every cruel thing she could to drive me away. But I heard that after I left, she would sit alone by the window, lost in thought, and feel even worse than I did. Eventually, I couldn't bear to leave her alone and ran to see her. I begged her to stop sending me away. By then, she was nothing but skin and bones. She couldn't even get out of bed. When she heard my voice, she instinctively raised a hand to cover her face. Her voice trembled. Don't look. I'm hideous now. A Yuan. Her voice held a pleading note. I clasped her hand tightly and refused to let go. But in the end, I still couldn't stay by her side. I didn't even get to see her one last time. Only her attorney told me that she'd left me her entire estate. But I didn't want her money. I only wanted her to live a good, healthy life. I went to a distant mountain with a temple at its summit. People said its prayers were powerful. There were 3,000 steps leading to the temple. They stretched from the foot of the mountain into the clouds. So I climbed those 3,000 steps, bowing my head to the ground 3,000 times. But when I reached the summit and knelt in the main hall, pressing my forehead against the cold stone floor, I couldn't utter a complete sentence. My throat felt blocked. Tears fell before I could speak. I knelt there and cried for a long time. In the end, I said only one thing. May you find peace and happiness in your next life. I bowed one last time, then rose and turned to descend the mountain. The wounds on my knees still hurt. My heart felt empty. I couldn't tell whether I'd let go or not. I only felt that I'd done everything I could. The rest was up to fate. Then I heard a sharp horn blast. A blinding light shone straight at me. When I opened my eyes again, I'd returned to my school days. I looked at Xinci, healthy and alive. The corners of my eyes stung. Only by desperately holding back did I stop myself from rushing over to hug her. I walked to her desk with a half-full bottle of mineral water and forced down my excitement as I spoke to her. Top student, you spend all day collecting bottles. How many have you saved up now? 10 yuan per bottle. I'll buy them all. She developed liver cancer in her previous life because she worked hard to earn money and got far too little rest. This time, I'm here. I won't let this happen again. A bottle of water only costs 2 yuan. How could one bottle possibly be worth 10 yuan? Classmate Fang, stop teasing me. I'm not joking. I mean it. I'd heard she kept the bottles she collected in her desk, so I figured I'd take them out and pay her on the spot. By the time Xinci tried to stop me, it was already too late. I pulled a lunchbox from her desk. Inside was half a steamed bun and some pickled vegetables. She never went to the cafeteria for lunch. I hadn't known this was all she ate. I froze, a dull ache swelling in my chest. Laughter erupted around the classroom. Xinci snatched the lunchbox with trembling hands and shoved it back into her desk. Her face had gone white. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Xinci, if you won't sell me your bottles, then how about tutoring me? I'll pay you 1,000 yuan an hour. She was too proud to accept money outright. I just wanted an excuse to give her more money and improve her living conditions so she wouldn't have to work so hard. I may be poor, but I support myself. I don't steal or rob. Fang Yuan, I'm not a toy for rich people like you. She stood and walked away. I didn't understand why she was angry. I instinctively tried to follow, but by Ningbing stopped me. Hey Yuan, you really know how to have fun. You're the worst student in the class, yet you asked someone to tutor you. That's hilarious. She's right. Coming from the worst student in class, it did look like I was messing with her. No wonder Xinci was angry. I felt somewhat frustrated. Did you see that scavenger's expression just now? I'm dying laughing. A pathetic pauper like her, she'd only be worth anything as a cheap hooker. Watching their vicious, spiteful faces, I launched into a furious tirade. Your mouths are filthy. Did you eat breakfast in a public restroom? By Ningbing's face turned livid. Fang Yuan, what the hell is wrong with you? I can't stand watching you bully a classmate. How can people like you be so disgusting? Their faces darkened as I tore into them. Ignoring them, I ran out to find Xinci so I could explain everything. But by the time I found her, class had already started. Her desk was in the second row, while mine was in the back. I couldn't even whisper to her. Frantic, I scratched my head and passed her a note, only for the chemistry teacher to catch me. Fang Yuan, Xinci, if you won't pay attention, get out and stand in the hall. Xinci was an exemplary student. It was the first time she'd ever been reprimanded. The classroom erupted in jeers. Top student, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to get you punished. I just wanted to tell you that I was serious about asking you to tutor me. Would you? If you really want tutoring, you could hire a special grade teacher without a second thought. Why ask a poor student like me? Xinci shifted aside, putting more distance between us. She clearly thought I was playing with her, but I couldn't blame her. I never bullied her. But Ningbing and the others often made fun of her. They had no limits, and I'd never stopped them. In her eyes, I was no different from them. I couldn't rush this. I'd have to take it one step at a time. I spoke to my father and arranged for the school to provide Shang Xinci with financial aid, so she wouldn't have to collect bottles to pay her tuition and living expenses. To make more time for studying, she never went to the cafeteria at noon. She just ate bread. I thought that wasn't nutritious enough, so I had our housekeeper deliver her an extra meal every day. Shang Xinci refused to eat it because she didn't want to owe me anything. I couldn't force it on her, so I had to give up. Given a second chance at life, I wanted not only to save her, but also to become more capable myself. Only then could I save my family's company and protect my parents. I took the problems I couldn't solve and shamelessly asked Shang Xinci for help. She ignored me with a cold expression. Eventually, fed up with my pestering, she tossed me her notes and told me to study them myself. I truly studied hard. When Shang Xinci realized I wasn't deliberately making fun of her, her attitude toward me softened considerably. Once, she was attacked outside school. When I tried to help her, I took a few hits too. After that, our relationship finally improved. By the monthly exams, my grades had improved considerably, so I happily invited Shang Xinci out for a meal. These cola-glazed chicken wings are delicious, but in my previous life, I'd grown used to feeding her. I had picked one up and put it straight into her mouth. Ooh, look at you feeding her. My teeth hurt from all this sweetness. Fang Yuan, are you into the top student? Exactly. Even the couples in our class aren't as lovey-dovey as you two. As it happened, Ningbing and Wang Dating came here to eat and saw us. Fang Yuan, you've got some nerve. If you're so brave, don't ever come looking for me again. The top student is beautiful and brilliant. I like her. That's perfectly normal, isn't it? Ningbing's face reddened with anger, and she stormed off. Classmate Fang, that kind of joke isn't funny. I'm not joking, Brainiac. I can't listen when anyone else teaches me, so please tutor me, will you? I want to do better on the college entrance exam too. At the very least, I want to attend college in the same city as you, so I can stay close to you. That was practically a confession. Wang Dating, delighted to stir up trouble, whistled from the side. I shot him a disgusted look, but ignored him. I'll think about it. Then she stood up and fled in embarrassment. I really was hopeless. Even the sight of her running away seemed adorable to me. When we returned to school, Shang Xinqi's face was still red. She could barely look me in the eye. I didn't want to pressure her, so I just reminded her to eat. The first class that afternoon was physical education. For once, the physical education teacher wasn't sick. We had volleyball that period, so I went to the equipment room to get a ball. The moment I entered, Ningbing followed me in and pinned me against the wall. She rose onto her toes and kissed me. Don't fucking touch me. Yuan, you really have some backbone. You said you wouldn't come looking for me, and you really didn't. You just cling to that scavenger all day. Don't tell me you've actually fallen for her. She's so outstanding. Isn't that perfectly normal? Don't lie to me. You've liked me for years. How could you suddenly fall for someone else? That's enough. I know you're just jealous. You're upset that I've gotten too close to the handsome student my family sponsors. You only flirted with that scavenger to provoke me. I didn't hear a word Ningbing said after that. I only knew that when I turned and saw Shang Xinci standing in the doorway with a cold expression, my heart panicked. In all my lifetimes, I'd never seen Shang Xinci look like that. My right eyelid kept twitching, and a deep unease filled me. I forced a smile and tried to explain. Sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted you. With that, she turned and walked away. At least she knew when she wasn't wanted. Yuan, no one's here to interrupt us now. She rose onto her toes and tried to kiss me again. I slapped her across the face. It had taken so much effort to repair my relationship with Shang Xinci, and she had ruined it all. Fang Yuan, if you overdo playing hard to get, it won't be charming. Looking at her arrogant, self-important expression, I could only marvel that I had been blind enough to fall for her in my previous life. Playing hard to get my ass. Have you read too many CEO romance novels and started thinking you're the heroine? Aren't you disgusted with yourself? Get lost. I don't have time to waste on her. I left immediately to find Shang Xinci, but she began deliberately avoiding me. When we lined up, Shang Xinci deliberately stood far away from me. When we divided into volleyball teams, she would rather be left out as before and remain alone than join my team. After class, she went straight to the girls' restroom. There was no way I could follow her inside, so I could only wait until school ended. It wasn't until dismissal that I finally stopped her under the watchful eyes of our classmates. This time, she didn't avoid me. She looked at me with a detached expression. Classmate Fang, you come from a wealthy family. Good grades aren't your only way forward. I'm different. My family is struggling. The college entrance exam is my only way out. Can you keep your rich kid romance games from dragging me into them? Don't listen to Ningbing's nonsense. I stopped liking her long ago. I helped you, and got close to you, simply because I like you. I don't date before graduation, then wait until after graduation. As for what happens after graduation, we'll talk about it then. Classmate Fang. Is there anything else? Xinci never lost her temper from beginning to end, but her attitude was painfully distant. Yet the more she acted that way, the more clearly I understood that she truly saw me as one of Ningbing's crowd. Unfortunately, Wang Dating and his gang of worthless friends happened to pass by. Hey, scavenger. Our young master Fang is willing to use you to provoke Ningbing. That's an honor for you. Don't be so ungrateful. Young master Fang is only throwing a tantrum at Ningbing. He'll play with you for a few days and toss you some money. That would keep your whole family fed and carefree. Each word was more vicious than the last. Who the hell do you think you are? To mock Xinci. Apologize to her. You want me to apologize to a scavenger? I swept my eyes over them expressionlessly. Don't make me ask a third time. These people only bullied the weak and fear the strong. No matter how unwilling they were, they still pinched their noses and muttered an apology before finally leaving. But Xinci wasn't happy. Thank you for speaking up for me, but don't do it again. When you help me like this, they'll only mistreat me even worse in private. Only then did I notice the shoe prints on her uniform. My throat suddenly tightened. I'm sorry. I only wanted to treat you better. In my previous life, I only knew that she was struggling. I never knew that, in the places I couldn't see, her life had become this unbearable. Thank you. But it wasn't necessary. After Xinci turned and left, I didn't deliberately pester her anymore. I stood there, watching her walk away alone. In my previous life, I was too busy chasing by Ningbing. How long had Xinci been ostracized by those people? How many kicks had her uniform endured? I had never taken a serious look. No matter how sweet my words sounded this time, they meant less than making the people who hurt her stop. When Ningbing and Wang Dating's gang bullied her again, I immediately grabbed a chair and smashed their heads and limbs. I smashed the courage right out of them. Afterward, my parents gave me a severe scolding. They also cut off my allowance. Many people said I'd lost my mind. I didn't care. At least no one dared bully Xinci openly anymore. Because of this, she came looking for me. She studied me for a long moment, her expression complicated. You didn't need to do this for me, but I like you. I couldn't just stand by and watch someone I like get bullied. Xinci's face instantly turned red. She awkwardly changed the subject. I heard you've hired a retired top-tier teacher to tutor you. You even study late every night after going home. I'm sorry for misunderstanding you. If you really feel bad about it, Brainiac, then whenever I come across something I don't understand in class, I'll leave all those questions to you. She clearly hesitated, but in the end, she nodded. I asked Xinci to tutor me, partly because I wanted an excuse to get closer to her, but I genuinely needed her help too. In my previous life, when disaster struck my family and my mother fell ill, I was completely helpless. I could only watch helplessly as everything collapsed. This time, I had to become capable enough to protect my family. With both the top student and a special grade teacher tutoring me, my grades steadily improved. As long as I performed normally on the college entrance exam, getting into a first-tier university wouldn't be a problem. Whichever school Xinci applied to, I'd apply to a school in the same city. I didn't expect to reach her side in one leap. For now, I just had to raise my grades, so that if something happened to my family again, I wouldn't be left without even one way forward. I thought everything was finally moving in the right direction. But 15 minutes before the English exam began, Xinci still hadn't arrived at the exam venue. Why isn't she here yet? I called her, but her gambling addict father answered. You must be the young master my daughter told me about. Someone named by Ningbing gave me 2,000 yuan to stop my girl from taking the English exam. I tricked her into coming home and locked her in a room. If you give me a little more, I'll send her to the exam. How much do you want? 3,000 to 5,000. Transfer the money, and I'll take her there. My house is really close to the exam venue. It only takes 50 minutes by taxi. 15 minutes after the exam begins, no one is allowed into the venue. Even if I paid him now, it would already be too late. And her home was at least 50 minutes away by taxi. Xinci had worked so hard for so long. Was all of it really going to be ruined over a mere 2,000 yuan? By her own father? My legs gave out. I had to brace myself against the wall to stay upright. Just then, a scheduled text message popped up on my phone. If I don't arrive at the exam venue on time, don't worry. I've already been guaranteed admission to Tsinghua. I wanted to take the college entrance exam, only to compete for the provincial top score. I heard the provincial top score gets a lot of money. Classmate Fang, do your best on the exam. Good luck. I hope you ace it. From her tone, I could tell that when she realized she'd been tricked into going home, she had already prepared a way out. She hadn't even warned me beforehand. She had nearly scared me to death. I wiped away my tears and hurried into the exam venue. Fortunately, English was my strongest subject, and this year's questions weren't difficult. I answered them smoothly. As soon as the exam ended, I immediately went to find Shang's Xinci. I wound through one narrow alley after another, and finally reached a dilapidated urban village. The window of her home had been broken for a long time. There wasn't a single decent piece of furniture inside. The bed was made from bricks and wooden boards. Her father had already sold everything of value. Several old-fashioned padded coats were spread beneath the boards as bedding. A worn bamboo mat was the only thing on top. There was no television or refrigerator. Even the tuition money she'd saved by collecting bottles had been stolen or taken by that gambling addict. I had always known her family was poor. I also knew her mother couldn't hear or speak, and that her father was a gambling addict. But it wasn't until I walked into that room myself that I understood what she meant when she said the college entrance exam was her only way out, and how much depended on it. By the time I arrived, the police had just rescued Shang Xinci from the house. She was covered in injuries. One eye was swollen and bruised. She could barely stand. Her father was still cursing beside her before the police quickly hauled him away. Shang Xinci. I grabbed Shang Xinci and took her straight to the hospital. Shang Xinci's father was charged with unlawful confinement and assault. This time, he was truly going to prison. While the doctors and nurses treated Shang Xinci's wounds, I stood beside her. I couldn't stop my tears. Her arms and legs were covered in injuries. One eye was still swollen and bruised. There was hardly an uninjured spot on her body. I had just started to check whether she had more injuries beneath her clothes when she blushingly pressed my hand down. Don't cry. They only look frightening. They don't really hurt at all. I don't believe you. I gently pressed her leg. Shang Xinci immediately sucked in a sharp breath. Her face changed. You call that not hurting? You knew perfectly well your father was no good. Why did you go back? Halfway through my question, my eyes reddened again. Shang Xinci looked flustered by my reaction. How come when I get hurt, you're more upset than I am? I like you. You already know that. She froze, her face turning bright red, and couldn't speak for a long while. I held her hand and continued asking. You knew he meant you no good. Why did you still go home? Shang Xinci bit her lip. Did you know that taking part in gambling isn't a crime? You only get a 500 yuan fine and a few days in detention. I stared at her. What? But unlawful confinement is different. It can bring a prison sentence of up to 3 years. If assault and humiliation are involved as well, the punishment will be more severe. I deliberately provoked that gambling addict into beating me. I've had enough of him. When people bullied her at school, Shang Xinci would do no more than frown. But whenever her biological father came up, the hatred in her eyes was impossible to hide. I stared at her, stunned. Shang Xinci gave a bitter smile. Do you think it's frightening that I even schemed against my own father? My relatives also said I've been calculating since childhood. No one wanted to take care of me. So if you hate me like this, that's perfectly normal. I didn't let her finish. I pulled her straight into my arms. You should have told me sooner. I could have sent him to prison another way. You never had to take this beating. I promised to protect her for the rest of my life. But this time, I still let her bear all the pain alone. Even though I already knew how hard her life was, I was still one step too late. Shang Xinci's body stiffened. Only after a long while did she raise her arms and hug me back. Fang Yuan, don't be too good to me. I'll never want to let go. Then don't let go. I had originally wanted to send Bai Ningbing to prison too, but the 2,000 yuan she gave Shang's father was cash. There was no evidence, but I was never the type to let people take advantage of me. I went straight to the Bai residence and right in front of Bai Ningbing's parents, tore away every last shred of Bai Ningbing's respectable facade. Annie, the mistress, and her son your husband keeps on the side have already been ruined by Bai Ningbing, and that scholarship student your family supports. The child in Bai Ningbing's womb might be his. Uncle, why was your company's project snatched away by a rival? Because Bai Ningbing is dating the rival family's young master. She's using your project to make her lover happy. Your whole family is rotten from top to bottom. Young and old, not one of you is any good. I left as soon as I finished speaking, but from that day on, the Bai family descended into chaos. It wasn't long before Bai Ningbing's parents dragged their bruised and battered daughter to my house to apologize. They even wanted a marriage between our families to patch the hole. My mother put her hands on her hips and fired back. You want my son to marry your family's used-up little slut? Have you even looked at yourselves? You aren't worthy. You still want to use my son as a backup? Ha! I spit on that. Go take a piss and look at yourselves. My father was even more direct. He grabbed a knife and tried to hack at them. The 3 members of the Bai family fled in terror. Furious, my parents made the decision on the spot. They decided to end every business partnership with the Bai family. Even when several shareholders warned it would hurt the company's interests, my parents overruled everyone and cut ties completely. Once the partnership ended, the Bai family could no longer try to push problematic suppliers into my family's company. They had lost that opportunity for good. At this, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. In my previous life, the Bai family had tricked my company into working with a problematic supplier. When something went wrong with the goods, our cash flow collapsed, and the entire company went under. Now that my parents had turned against the Bai family, those disasters would never happen again. I could finally visit Shang Xinci in the hospital and bring her meals without worry. After resting for half a month, most of Shang Xinci's injuries had healed. Just then, our class president invited everyone on a graduation trip. I signed her up with me. A Yuan, I already owe you so much. Having you pay for the trip too doesn't feel right. Ultimately, she didn't want to go because she had no money. I didn't want these circumstances to leave her with regrets. You only get one graduation trip. I didn't want everyone to look back on this experience someday and remember that she missed it simply because she couldn't afford it. Haven't you heard? The more debt you have, the less you worry. If you really can't pay me back, you can pay me back by giving yourself to me. I pulled her into my arms and kissed her lips again and again. Brainiac, baby, wife, will you come with me? Shang Xinci's face turned red all the way to her neck. Okay, I promise, but no inappropriate touching. And don't shout those names out. Her reply was so soft, as if she were afraid someone might hear. She clutched her clothes and wouldn't let go. Only after I kissed her lips until they were swollen did she blush and push me away. She quietly begged for mercy, and only then did I let her go. In the end, she still came with me. Nearly everyone in our class was there except by Ningbing. When we reached the seaside, everyone was busy playing in the water and taking pictures. The white sand felt soft beneath our feet. Wave after wave washed over the tops of our feet. Shang Xinci once couldn't even bear to spend the money on a single graduation trip, let alone stand by the sea with her classmates like this. Of course, some loudmouth had to run his mouth. People say you only become smooth and calculating after entering the real world. But apparently, that's not always true. College hadn't even started. Yet the brainiac was already looking for a tall, rich, handsome man. Cinderella's about to leap into high society. Not necessarily. Young Master Fang liked by Ningbing for so many years, and still changed his mind. He'll probably get bored with the brainiac after playing around with her for a while. Rich people aren't stupid. Who would take a scavenger on as a charity case? People like to stay with those from equal backgrounds. I released Shang Xinci and was about to confront them, but she stopped me first. I was born into a poor family, but I'll work hard. One day, I'll earn the right to stand beside him. It won't matter if he stops liking me someday, because I can promise that I'll always love him. After Shang Xinci finished speaking, those people were so embarrassed they didn't dare respond. Her gaze remained firm. She never looked away because of their words. Whenever Shang Xinci spoke, she carried a power that made people believe her. The moment she stood there, those hoping to mock her lost their nerve first. For the rest of the trip, no one dared make another sarcastic remark in front of her, worried that the difference between our families might make Shang Xinci feel pressured. I deliberately video called my parents. Dad, Mom, let me introduce someone. This is my girlfriend. She earns all her own tuition and living expenses. Even after spending so much time earning money, she still ranks first in her grade every time. Isn't she amazing? The video call connected so quickly that Shang Xinci was completely unprepared. She was so nervous that her arms and legs moved awkwardly as she walked. Hello, Uncle and Annie. My name is Shang Xinci. I'm a Yuan's girlfriend. My mother, sitting in the passenger seat, happily waved at her. Hello, future daughter-in-law. You support yourself and still come first in your class. That's incredible. While my father drove, he had already started planning our future. Daughter-in-law, why don't you and a Yuan major in finance together? You can be his right-hand woman. Then you two can take over the family business. And your mother-in-law and I can travel. They were simply too enthusiastic. Perspiration beaded on Shang Xinci's forehead. She had just dared to say by the sea, in front of everyone, that she'd love me forever. But now, facing her future in-laws, she didn't even know where to put her hands. I hung up with a smile, deliberately teasing her. Brainiac, I've introduced you to your future in-laws. Don't you think it's time you let me see what my future mother-in-law looks like? Shang Xinci pulled out her old phone. After freezing several times, it finally opened a photo. Yet when she opened it, she moved with extraordinary gentleness. Her fingertip lightly touched the person on the screen. My mother is deaf and cannot speak. She can only earn a little grocery money by threading screws. Whenever my father beats her, she can't even cry out in pain. When I saw the face in the photo clearly, my entire body froze. In my previous life, my parents went to the outskirts to discuss a redevelopment deal. On the way, several delinquents were harassing a deaf woman who couldn't speak. They shoved her into traffic. My father couldn't stop in time and ran her over. I remembered that face for my entire life. It was Shang Xinci's mother. No wonder. In my previous life, I could clearly feel that Shang Xinci liked me too. Yet she refused to be with me. I used to think she looked down on me. Only now did I realize that her mother's death stood between us. But today, my parents were heading to the outskirts to discuss a redevelopment deal. The accident in my previous life happened around 11. How could I have forgotten something so important? Yuan, what's wrong? I had no time to explain. With trembling hands, I called my parents. No one answered the first time. The second time, I only heard a busy signal. The receiver gave nothing but beep after beep. Had something already happened? Panicked and terrified, I was about to call again when the phone finally connected. Sweetheart, why have you called so many times? The road to the outskirts is dangerous. Tell Dad to slow down. Keep the speed below 40 kilometers per hour. The request seemed completely out of nowhere, but my parents had always indulged me without question. They complained that they were driving too slowly, and the cars behind them kept honking, but they still slowed down as I asked. After my father dropped below 40 kilometers per hour, a line of cars quickly formed behind them. My parents didn't know why, and they didn't speed up just because others were urging them on. More than 10 minutes later, the sudden screech of brakes came through the phone. Then my mother's furious yelling followed. What's wrong with those teenagers? They shoved someone into traffic. Are they trying to get her killed? Thank goodness we were driving slowly. We didn't hit her. Old Fang, call the police right now. I'm getting out to see how this woman is. At that, my tense legs finally gave out. I grabbed the wall beside me to keep from falling. Thank goodness. This time, my father didn't become a killer. Between Shang Xinci and me, her mother's death would no longer stand between us. My father had come within a hair of carrying that guilt for life. Shang Xinci had come within a hair of losing her mother again. Yuan, are you feeling unwell? Shang Xinci was terribly worried. I'm fine. Just a little tired. Then I'll support you. But my clothes are dirty. She was clearly a clean freak, yet she came straight over to support me. If it's you, it doesn't matter. She supported me as we slowly caught up with our classmates ahead. It was peak tourist season, and people were everywhere. Our classmates complained nonstop about the crowds as they walked ahead. But with Shang Xinci in my arms, I had never felt so at peace. The National College Entrance Exam results came out soon after. I performed exceptionally well and cleared the cutoff for one of China's elite 985 universities. My parents were overjoyed. They held a celebration banquet for Shang Xinci and me. At the banquet, my mother proudly boasted, "Stop trying to prevent teenagers from falling in love. When they fall in love with the right person, they can become better together." Take my son, for example. He found a future daughter-in-law who was admitted to Tsinghua without taking the entrance exam. He studied with relentless, sleepless determination as well, and that's how he achieved such great results. After the semester began, my parents drove Shang Xinci and me to school. They first went to Tsinghua and took a whole bunch of photos, then took another set at my school, worried we wouldn't adjust to dorm life. Near my school and near Tsinghua, plus another halfway between the two schools. They bought a home at each location, so we could stay wherever was most convenient. Shang Xinci started her own business during her freshman year. I was her investor. Her looks, presence, and ability were enough to make people overlook her disadvantaged background. Both men and women pursued her and wanted to get close to her, but she maintained very clear boundaries. She was never linked romantically to anyone else, which gave me complete peace of mind. She was busy most of the time. When she wasn't working or studying, she was almost always on a date with me. I was afraid she'd work herself sick again, like she had in my previous life. So I seized every chance to make her rest. Whenever I didn't feel like going out, she cooked for me at home and kept me company while I played games or watched shows. Everyone who knew we were dating said Shang Xinci was beautiful and capable, and even cooked for and spoiled her boyfriend. Fang Yuan was so lucky. Every time she heard that, she seriously corrected them. That's wrong. Meeting a Yuan made me the lucky one. By the time we graduated, the Bai family's company ran into trouble. In my previous life, the Bai family schemed against mine, stole most of our resources, and prospered. In this life, without my family to clean up their messes. The moment one of their projects blew up, the company quickly declared bankruptcy. Debt collectors blockaded their front door. The whole family was too afraid to leave the house. They had once basked in glory after stealing my family's resources. Now, being trapped inside by creditors left them equally humiliated. Meanwhile, Shang Xinci and I were busy preparing for our wedding. We had no time to care what happened to them afterward. On our wedding day, Shang Xinci cried her eyes out. Our friends and family below the stage all laughed and applauded. She wiped away her tears, choking up several times before she could speak. Yuan, I may have said some things 1,000 times already, but I still want to say them for the 1,001st time. I'm so lucky to have met you, and I truly, truly love you.